On a 3 minutes de retard, mais donc je vous propose de commencer. Je vais faire très rapidement en français, puis après on va switch to English for our friends from a new part of the, I would say, of the world. We don't know that much from France, but donc juste pour vous remercier et vous souhaiter la bienvenue à cette rencontre avec les partenaires de la Fondation Grameen Crédit Agricole et avec OXUS. Voilà, donc c'est une rencontre qu'on essaie de faire régulièrement avec les amis de la Fondation, hein, qui sont donc des personnes du groupe Crédit Agricole qui s'intéressent aux activités de la Fondation. Je suis Philippe Guichandu, je suis aujourd'hui directeur de l'assistance technique et des partenariats à la Fondation. Je travaillais avant, enfin ça fait longtemps que je travaille à la Fondation, mais avant j'étais plutôt en charge de la partie investissement en microfinance. Et donc je suis ravi de vous accueillir pour cette rencontre. Donc, on va faire en anglais. Si jamais vous avez des questions, elles pourront se faire en français, si vous êtes plus à l'aise en français. So it was a very short introduction to our French speakers that are with us. But anyway, I'm very happy to welcome you for this session. So I think that you could hear us pretty well, and that I don't know what is the, I think that you see the presentation, but I don't know if you see also the people who are around here. Raphael, could you tell us if you see?
Yes, we can see you in very small picture.
So the people who speak have to move so that you can know who is talking. Of course, we definitely want to thank also Cassis for giving us the opportunity to be in this room, because it's true it has been tough to find a place in the compound of the Groupe Crédit Agricole. It's always very, very busy, but anyway, we are in this very nice and completely new room. So I'm going to have a very short introduction, and then I will let you, our friends from OXUS, speak. We thought it was very interesting to have this meeting because with you, because it was a rare opportunity to have here in France together partners with whom we deal in the field, and especially with OXUS. You will see it's a long partnership that the foundation has developed with the OXUS group. We will explain to you how we've been working with them and what is the reality of their work. So the idea is to have first an introduction about the OXUS group, after this we're going to discuss with the three partners, the two partners of the foundation, that are OXUS in Tajikistan and OXUS in Kyrgyzstan, and then we also have the chance to have someone from Afghanistan, even though the foundation is not working directly in Afghanistan. And after this, so after the short presentation, we want to have maybe a specific focus on the context, which is on one side the impact of the war in Ukraine on especially Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. And then, of course, we want to have also a little focus on what is happening in Afghanistan, which is a different context and different situation. And for that, we have, as I said, the chance to have the three CEO of OXUS. So I have a small bio data I'm going to read rapidly. So we're going to have the chance to talk with Salim Khan from, you have to wave where you are. Okay, so Salim, you are from, so you've been working now for 22 years in the field of microfinance, and you have been you are the Chief Executive Officer of not only OXUS, but also the Chairman of the Afghanistan Microfinance Association. So I think that you have a pretty good view about what is happening in the country in microfinance. And before that, you've been working for other microfinance company, the FINCA. FINCA is another group in the microfinance world, we have different type of large group that are implementing microfinance activities in different countries. So you have been working for Finca in Afghanistan, but also Pakistan, as far as I've seen. And you're working also for the first microfinance bank, which is linked to the Aga Khan network, and the foundation that's been working with the Aga Khan network in other countries, not in Afghanistan. But you're working also for first microfinance bank in Pakistan as well. So welcome, and we are very pleased to have you on board. Then on my right is Denis Komyakov. I always call you Denis because I think Komyakov is a little bit tough for me to remember. But you joined OXUS in 2015 as their CEO, but before you were working for another microfinance group, which is Pro Credit Holding Group in Eastern Europe. And what is very interesting is that you started as loan officers and then you climbed the different steps, which is something that you see a lot in microfinance, where you see that people are starting as loan officer and then because of their talent, they become slowly more and more with more responsibility. And now you are the CEO of OXUS Kyrgyzstan. So it's very good. And you've been doing some consulting also, missions for microfinance program in Eastern Europe and China as well. And last but not least is Vacento. Again, I don't know how to pronounce properly your name, Vatansho. Yeah, Vatansho. I'm sorry. And you've been working for the Office of the Prime Minister in the past before joining ACTED in 1997. So we're going to explain to you who is ACTED, which is the NGO behind OXUS Group. And so you were working for their program supporting small and medium enterprises for the ACTED Group. And then you've been the coordinator of the program, and it's in 2006 that you became the CEO of OXUS. So that's the main three speakers we're going to have, but we're going to have the introduction of, and I don't have your biodata, so I don't have to introduce you, Julien and Fernand, but Julien is working for ACTED, and Fernand, Pilonel, you are, what is your exact title? I forgot about it.
So I am the chairman of the board of the three affiliates, and so a governance role together with the CEO and the shareholder.
Okay.
I am based in Kyrgyzstan. I have a long career with the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. I was the country manager in Kyrgyzstan, in Tajikistan, in Uzbekistan. And later in my career, I went on the social direction and worked with ACTED and OXUS.
Perfect. So you are the big boss. And so you're going to start with a presentation of, I hope it's going to move the slide. Okay. Okay, so that was the introduction. So now we can move to the presentation of OXUS Network and what has been the global partnership with the foundation. So I let the floor to you, Fernand.
Thank you, Philippe. Very pleased of your interest in the microfinance and the social activity of OXUS and its shareholder ACTED. I will start with a little define the background of microfinance in Central Asia. As I said, I was in EBRD, and EBRD was instrumental in launching microfinance in Central Asia. At the late 90s, there was almost no microfinance. When I arrived in 99 in Kyrgyzstan, the interest rates for small business were about 60%, made by not so nice people with some even criminal practice if you would not repay your loan. So this was the old times. And then EBRD came with an approach to downscale the activity of the banks, so to get banks, existing corporate banks, getting involved into first SME loans and then micro loans, and on the other side to upscale credit unions, rural credit unions, village credit unions, to bring them up to a level of microfinance institutions. So many years later, this is the situation. Just to give you a comparison with France. First of all, it's the mission of OXUS to serve underbanked. And you see the underbanked, the adults with a bank account in percentage of the population. In France, it is 99% of the population has access to the banking service. In Afghanistan, the lowest line, blue, is at around now 10%. It has, of course, dropped a bit since last year. And in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, approximately relatively the same figure at 40-45%. So you see that there is still a huge work to provide financial services to the whole population. This is a reality of this country in development. And regarding receiving a loan from a microfinance institution, so it is, of course, a lesser percentage, down to 5% in Afghanistan, and in Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, with different moves depending on crisis, devaluation crisis, in particular in Tajikistan in the years 2014. But we are talking about 15-20% of people accessing microloans or small loans. And in France, the comparison is 40%. So this is to give the background. And here, quickly, thank you, Philippe. So let's start with the upper left. You can see this design. The first represents a humanitarian crisis. It can be a war, it can be an earthquake or natural disaster, which brings the standards of the population down to the level where humanitarian assistance is needed. And this is where ACTED kicks in with beneficiaries, emergency relief, shelters, refugee camps, and starting irrigation channels, so basic humanitarian needs. But as the situation improves, ACTED noted in the late 90s, early 2000s, that the former beneficiaries of ACTED needed something else. They didn't need a shelter anymore or an irrigation channel. They rather needed finance to get on to their business. So this is, OXUS was created with a logic, a commercial logic, so not the grant, which is the specialty of ACTED, the humanitarian grant. OXUS introduces people to economic development through a loan. And the sector of the population was chosen, obviously, consistently with the activity of ACTED, so rather working poor and people without access to the banking sector, either because the banking sector is not present in their villages, in their regions, either because they are poor farmers, not educated, and they don't dare to enter in a shiny bank full of marbles, and they are therefore underbanked. So this is the segment where OXUS, together with other microfinance institutions, work. So this happened in 2005, the creation of OXUS, and in Tajikistan first, and then in Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Afghanistan. There was also a parenthesis in Congo, but which didn't go so well. So OXUS in figures on top right, 728 employees in the three organizations, almost 50,000 customers, out of which we aim for at least half being female customers, and half being in the rural areas, not necessarily the farmers, but of course with a strong agriculture component. Voilà, as of end of 2021, 28 million outstanding loan portfolio between the three organizations. So it is small as per Crédit Agricole standards, but it has locally a lot of impact. ACTED Acted, I hope everybody knows Acted because it is the second French NGO after Médecins Sans Frontières. You can see a annual budget now, 500 million euros, active in 44 countries, and indeed with a focus on conflicts and refugees and grassroots economic development. So this is our shareholder, non-profit organization, but who still expects OXUS to be viable and function by itself. We have minority shareholders, but the majority is held by Acted through a holding. And indeed, Julien, so he works on between Acted and OXUS. He's on one side or group CFO. He's also member of the supervisory boards of the three, and he's on a daily basis talking with Aurélien, Fred, and the shareholders here in Paris. Voilà. So remember that TED is really a first-class humanitarian NGO and more active. I will explain.
Maybe just a few words on the 3-0.
Yes, sorry. Yes, you see in the middle, zero exclusion, zero carbon, zero poverty. This is the new strategy of the Acted group. The idea is to find solution to the contradiction between the UN Social Development Goals, Sustainable Development Goals, which have a lot to do with alleviating poverty, and the goals of the COP, which are environmental protection. And obviously, to alleviate poverty, you need economic activity, industrial. So Acted tries to tackle this inherent contradiction and find solutions who have, on one side, poverty impact, but also a positive environmental impact. So this was all phrased down to the zero exclusion. This is rather obviously on the human side. Zero carbon and zero poverty. These are the objectives of Acted, and OXUS, of course, is adapting and playing its role in the microfinance. We have just talked with Edouard, because as a lender, the Fondation will also now monitor that we also respect and promote good environmental practices. Voilà, regarding the history and the financial support. So indeed, the Fondation does not work in Afghanistan in the past and even less today. And this is all well safeguarded. So it's not because the Foundation or Crédit Agricole works with OXUS. There is no direct link with Afghanistan, to make it clear. And we have here the first loan was OXUS Tajikistan 2013, and now already 5 different loans for 4.3 million. We work in dollars because locally the euros is not very accessible in terms of hedging. And in Kyrgyzstan, also with 5 loans in 2016, a bit smaller, we'll see the portfolios later, of 3.7 million. So here, in the name of OXUS and the shareholder, thank you to the foundation, the analysts who came in the field, assessed our risk, and we work greatly together. And since last year, we have also cooperated with the foundation with the concept of solidarity banker, which probably some of you are interested in. And the 2 CEOs of Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan will mention the experience. We have here Andrea, who was one of our experts last year, and feel free to intervene when necessary, Andrea. Voilà, at this stage, I think it is enough for the introduction, and I let the CEOs, because you didn't come here to meet the Swiss banker.
Thanks a
From
lot.
Central Asia.
Yes, thanks a lot, Fernand. I don't know if there are some questions at that level. I hope it's clear that the global structures, the link between Acted and the OXUS group, the history, but I don't know if you have a question. No? So now we go to this field, and we go first to Kyrgyzstan. I'm not sure that everyone here is able to put on the map where it is or what's the name of the capital city, but I'm pretty sure that you all will learn a lot. And there's, okay, you know it.
If you go 2 slides back on the map,
Okay.
we can locate it.
Yes.
Voilà,
Yes.
right. So here are the 3 countries. Kyrgyzstan is the most northern one, bordering Kazakhstan, the north, China on the east, Uzbekistan on the west, and Tajikistan in the south. And then the middle piece is Tajikistan, also with China and Uzbekistan on the left and right, and Afghanistan in the south, Kyrgyzstan. And Afghanistan, usually everybody knows where it is because it's majority of the bad news. And voilà, so.
Perfect. Okay. You will have a quiz at the end of the meeting. What you remember. Okay. So I'll give you the floor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, to make the quiz easier for you, so the capital of the republic is Bishkek. It's a small city, actually. It's around 1 million inhabitants. But let's go to OXUS. So you can see on the slides the evolution of the GDP. So actually, all the time when we have a crisis, so the GDP goes down. Obviously, it was 2020 with the pandemic when we shrink everything, but then we recovered quite nicely in 2021. The country showed the growth of 3.6%, which is not bad, not like the neighbors, which showed better growth, but still it's a growth of the economy. In 2022, to give you an update, for the first 6 months, the GDP growth was 6.3%. It was also connected to some consequences of the Russian-Ukrainian war and to recover from 2020 as well. Not 1 year when we could recover, but it takes more time to recover the economy because economy was connected to a lot of export to Russia, also to mining of the gold and to selling of the gold. We had also some issues with the government, but now it's completely nationalized, and then we see how the taxes flow in the economy, and we see also quite tangible developments and improvements in the country when we have a new government. Yeah, we have also Kyrgyz tradition to have revolution each 5 years, so changing the governments. So it tells you the nature of the Kyrgyz population, Kyrgyz people, that if the Kyrgyz population doesn't like the government, doesn't like the quality of life, they go to the streets, and then in 2 days, 3 days, they throw down the government, and then they establish a new one, people's one, and it takes like 5 people to understand. So it's not the proper one, let's change, and then we change. So in this environment we work actually. And this environment shows that the people are quite self-organized, the people very entrepreneurial, people understand how to make money. So even in the pandemic times, we saw how people adapted to new situation, to new reality, and then they use these entrepreneurship skills, entrepreneurial skills, to develop own business, to feed families. And with the actually getting support from you, from Gramin Credit Agricole Foundation, so we invest into them, we give them loans where they generate additional income, or they use the loans for the energy efficiency in their houses or in the business or in agriculture. So the country, let's go back to the country. So country, it's not big, it's 6.7 million inhabitants only. 28% of the, let's say, domestic rate to GDP, the indicator. Additionally, recently we had a study on poverty line, and then we have 25. Every fourth inhabitant of the country is below poverty line. We see that the country is not so rich, so the country is quite small, but still quite united. So, and also having some traditions, so the population grows around 2% per year. So it's not fast like in Afghanistan, but still it's faster than in European countries or in CIS countries overall. Yes, so this is the map of Kyrgyzstan. In the map of Kyrgyzstan, you see the presence of OXUS. Mostly we are present in the south of the country. So just if you divide the map into two, upper and with the lower tile, lower part, so you will see that the lower is more, let's say, populated also by people, because in the middle we have mountains region, which doesn't allow people to live in, because they are quite high, 3,000 and up and above meters. So, and then in the south of the country, we have the population, which is more active because it's a part of the Fergana Valley, which very famous for trade routes, for traders, agriculture. Every seed gives a tree when it's just thrown into the soil. The portfolio is 8.5. Currently, it's 10 million euros. So as of today, so we're the same. Yeah, Maxim, sorry, it's appreciation of the local currency. It's not the growth of the portfolio. No, in terms of the portfolio, we kept because of the crisis. Yeah, we kept at the same level of around this figure at the end of the last year. So what we do, yeah, we go a lot into rural areas. We understood that we need to support the clients in rural areas. Why? Because they have less access, as we saw on the slide before. Second of all, they are less financially educated. So we have to educate them. We have to explain them why to take loan, why not to take loan, and better not to take loan than to take loan and knowing nothing about what to do with this loan. So sometimes we don't disburse loans in rural area because the loan is not needed for this household. So because we need to, so for example, we don't disburse loans for festivities. Yeah, to organize the wedding for the children. They take loans, they organize the wedding, and then they see that the outcome of the wedding is not positive, and they start to repay loans. So those loans in OXUS prohibited. So if you want to have good wedding, you work, you earn money, so you collect this money, you save, and then you have your wedding, because then it destroys the households completely. So that's why we prohibit it, because they need to repay, and it's a long time. Sometimes they cannot repay. And so, secondly, yeah, we pay a lot of attention to women business. So we try to finance women entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs because the society is a society, and then we want to give women more power, more autonomy from financial autonomy from the husband, and then by this we want to have this woman empowerment. So even if you see that we have a lot of men in the country, in the company, but still we are striving for this woman empowerment, which is very important. Now it's a 55% as of today. Employees, there are more women than men. We still have, let's say, 16 branches in this year. This year we opened a new branch in south of the country. This is the region where we have Uzbek minority as a majority of population. So, and then we see that sometimes they are cut from these financial services of banks and of other microfinance institutions. So we went to this region to put focus on this minority, Uzbek minority. So, and the distribution of portfolio, the main target is to keep 60% for income generating activity, at least 60. So it means it's agricultural loans and business loans. All others can be distributed. Plus, we pay a lot attention to let's say housing loans with the energy efficiency component, that the people save costs on heating, on water, and so on and so on. So this was me, I think. And now we talk about Andreas. You see Andreas, who is the branch manager of the Bishkek 2 branch. Actually, when I entered OXUS Kyrgyzstan, I saw, okay, guys, yeah, we have marketing, but marketing is joined with partially HR, partially with somebody else, but it was not a marketing function in the company. Okay, with a small portfolio of 4-5 million, you can leave, but then after some time, you understand. So now it's stopped. Now you cannot move because you don't have the structured marketing campaigns, marketing plan, all the tools which you need. So, and then you decide, okay, we need it. And then you start to look around, and then you understand. So in the country, you don't have such kind of person who could build, support, actually advise how to build it. And then we asked the foundation for technical assistance, and they explained us about the solidarity banking. And then we found, we got Andreas actually, and we are very happy. So last year we had a mission. During this mission, it was a hard work for the whole company. So it does mean that Andreas came and just worked with me or with marketing officer. No, it was the work of dozens of people, because everybody was involved. And by this, actually, we did a very nice marketing strategy, marketing plan. We understood how to use the tools which we have. Now we do the, let's say, social media targeted advertisement. Instagram, I don't know about the France Instagram, but Instagram in Kyrgyzstan, it's if you want to know the price, you go to Instagram. If you want to know the opening hours, you go to Instagram. So everything in Instagram, and then we now managed to have a properly structured, targeted campaigns, targeted advertisement. Plus, we know in which months what to shoot and how to do. So we also talked a lot about, and also we have documents with Andreas elaborate strategy for loyalty programs, and not loyalty program, not only for the clients, but also for loan officers, how to keep them loyal. So, and yeah, so with this crisis, partially we stopped, but the most part is operational. But yeah, with the bonuses, with the loan officers, we just modified a different way because it was proposed by Andreas. In the, let's say, bonus scheme of remuneration of loan officers, we have partially the fixed salary in the bonus. And this bonus was variable depending on the quality of loan portfolio. And then we called it anti-bonus when we cut the bonus which they earned. And then with Andreas, we decided, okay, no, let's have the fixed salary and the bonus for good portfolio quality. So it means that we don't cut, we just add if you have a good portfolio. And it's a change of cycle of people. And we are on the way. We are not there yet, but we want to change, to go this way. Now, from time to time, we have some text to each other with Andreas.
Andreas, do you want to add something or here?
Of course, I can add something, but Dennis already said everything. No, it was really an awesome field mission as a solidarity banker. It was very interesting from a technical point of view, because I did not know much initially about microfinance, but also from a human point of view, meeting, as Dennis said, all his people in the entire company, meeting also branch managers like her, who was in one of the Bishkek branches. And by the way, when I was first selected, I did not know the capital of Kyrgyzstan.
Okay. How come?
So no, I can only encourage anybody who's interested in doing such a mission to apply. There are different missions still available, I think, and it's a great way to share your knowledge, to meet other people and work with them, produce something that is useful to them and that is used in the following years. And also a great way to discover another country, another culture, and that was really something that will always stay in my memory. And also, meeting people with whom you stay in touch. I think it's a great way also to say that I was well welcomed there and had a very interesting experience. So thank you again. And also thank you, Dennis and Fernand. Not only the foundation, because you selected my resume at the time, but obviously them, because they both were very friendly and welcoming to make this a great success. Thanks.
Thanks a lot. And I think that is a very nice and concrete testimony that I think it's appreciated by everyone. So now I propose you to go to Tajikistan and maybe know who is the capital city of Tajikistan. Who knows?
Robin,
Robin.
Robin.
what day is it? Okay.
Surprise, it's
What
changed.
day is it?
It's changed. We're gonna go to
Kazakhstan.
Arab now. Okay, so Tajikistan, first of all, thank you very much for receiving us and organizing this meeting. Very pleased to see all of you, and thank you very much for your interest and your support, which actually you did to OXUS Tajikistan since quite a long time. About the country, Tajikistan, we actually neighbor country, as you understood, to Kyrgyzstan. We were also one of the Republic of Soviet Union, which I think we should mention in the past. Now it's kind of considered as one of the poorest republic in Soviet Union period, and now in the area as well. I mean, let's say after Afghanistan, because also following collapse of Soviet Union, unfortunately, in Tajikistan we had a civil war, which started something in 92, which ended fully in something in 97. Which, as you understand, in civil war, it's actually bringing a lot of suffering, a lot of casualties. And actually, Tajikistan started slightly to recover from, I would say, from 98, 99, 97, the peace agreement was signed in the country. And then from 99, 2000, I would say that Tajikistan started to slightly to recover from the civil war. Oh, you see the figures of some statistical figures on the GDP. I mean, compared to our neighbor country in Central Asia, we haven't had decrease on the GDP for quite a long time. There is some issue, I would say, with the statistic which we do in the country, but still, I hope it's not only about the statistic. I would say that big financial institutions, big financial international institutions recognize at least half of this increase. So, I mean, we can say that still there is increase on the GDP. Even recently, presently, for example, as of half of the year, as June 2022, officially the growth of GDP considered over 7%. So despite of difficult situation in the neighboring country, in the area in Tajikistan, I mean, still the GDP is growing. But at the same time, not everything is that positive in terms of, Fernando was mentioned already, in terms of financial literacy, in terms of loan, in terms of domestic credit to private sectors, it's still quite low compared to other countries. In terms of population, you see the figures. We are also having quite high population growth rate, over 2%. Annually, it's actually in ex-Soviet countries, I think it's the highest rate. And in terms of poverty headcount ratio, it's 26%. Again, it was something like 5 years ago, it's over 35%. So this percentage is slightly decreasing, but still it represents quite high rate. That is very short about the country. As already mentioned, our capital is at Dushanbe. It's also over 1 million populations. Population of over Tajikistan is 9.8 million and is actually reaching 10 million quite quickly. Country is still, unfortunately, very much depending on Russia and the situation in Russia, because, I mean, within this 9.8 million populations, in average, around 1.5 million labor migrants are going to Russia. So as you can understand, in terms of economical situations, very much depending on the, in general, in Russia economy and situation in Russia. I mean, remittances, here it's indicated remittances presently represent over 25% of GDP, but back in 2013, it was highest level, it was over 45%. I think it was it was highest in the world. On that stage, I think Tajikistan had a record, not very nice record, I would say, but was remittance was actually over 45% of the GDP. Now it's represent more than 25%, and big part of it, I would say over 95% remittances coming from Russia. As you understand, with 1.5 million in average labor migrant who are going on a regular basis to Russia, this are kind of huge impact on economic of Tajikistan, and obviously on all life. On OXUS Tajikistan started actually registered at end of 2005. We started our operation in 2006. not that we started OXUS microfinance in 2006, because as you all understood, OXUS started in microfinance on the base of microfinance program of ACTED, which started back in 96, 97. And then OXUS was created as a separate microfinance institution because before that there was no even law, there was no legal framework for microfinance activity. The first law on microfinance was issued only in 2005 in Tajikistan, which actually give basis for microfinance program of ACTED and other different NGOs to create separate MFIs. So this was the period when 2005 microfinance program of ACTED as NGO was transferred to separate microfinance institutions, which was called OXUS. It was not mentioned, maybe you all know, but OXUS is not abbreviation, it's a Latin name of our famous river, which is called now Amu Darya. There is a very famous conception also known in Central Asia, but also in the West, called so-called OXUS treasury. Back in the 19th century, there was a very big treasury found in Central Asia, not far from this river. Big part of which is now kept in London Museum, and that's the conception of OXUS, because it's kind of the ancient name of Amu Darya, very famous river we have in the area. You see some statistic on the Tajikistan. Now as end of 2021, we have around 12 million euro as a portfolio. Now we have portfolio of around 15 million as of August, to some extent due to the natural growth of portfolio, but also due to the appreciation of the local currency to some extent. But we actually represent last year and this year, the growth of portfolio actually represent quite good figures. In terms of type of credit and type of clients, as Denis also mentioned, in Tajikistan, we are mainly working in rural area. It is as part of our strategy to focus on the rural area. Presently, over 80% of our clients in rural area. I have to insist on this because we had chance to start to work or increase our portfolio in urban area. It's a long time ago, after actually transforming of our portfolio from ACTED to separate microfinance institutions, OXUS. It was decided that it was kind of the strategic decision. We will keep over 80% of our clients from rural area. Sometimes it's difficult, but still it was kind of strategic decision, and we are keeping this decision. We are looking through you see on the map, we have 4 main regions in Tajikistan, and we are present in the 3 of them. We are not present only in the most mountainous area, Badakhshan. And also a fact to mention about Tajikistan, which I hope will be also very interesting for you, 93% of Tajikistan is mountains. I know that French, Swiss, you like very much mountains. Like in Kyrgyzstan as well, in Tajikistan, we have very nice mountains. 93% of our country is mountains. And in ex-Soviet territory, we're the highest mountain, obviously called Peak Communism. In the past, now it's called differently, but if any of you are interested in the mountains, you are welcome to Tajikistan. So on OXUS Tajikistan, in terms of product, mainly agriculture and then small, medium enterprises loan, we also, as Denis mentioned, we have quite serious restriction of the disbursing loan to consumer lending. We are trying to focus on the loans which are bringing income generating activities. This is for us principle as well. This is very important because unfortunately we do have some banks, some financial institutions in the country who are mainly focusing, especially now, in the consumer lending, which is not actually part of our strategy. We are trying to focus on the income generating activity, and presently consumer lending represent less than 20% of our portfolio. But even within this 20% of our portfolio, we have livelihood loans. If we separate them, then the only consumer will make less than 10%. That is, we are working through this 27 selling points, and you see the employees Here we don't have represent a diagram of the portfolio, but our portfolio growth was quite essential for recent years, especially starting from 2017. This is important date to remember because this was the period when Grameen Credit Agricole came back to us again and started to support us with the loans in local currency. Important to mention also, because unfortunately it's not on this slide, that we had a very difficult period in 2015, 2016 due to this financial crisis in Russia, which actually impacted Tajikistan as well. And specifically in Tajikistan, OXUS Tajikistan, we had a very difficult period of the end of 2015, beginning of 2016, when it is very important to mention, Grameen Credit Agricole support us, I would say, with not so much with the big funding, but the funding we needed in the right moment. Because this was the period of 2016, 2017, when we decided to make a strategic decision to change, to transform our portfolio from USD based into local based funding, which obviously in terms of social performance, social support of the clients, very important to lend to the clients loans in local currency, which is not linked to the foreign currency risk and so on. And this was a period when we decided to transform big of our portfolio to local currency. It was only 35% of our portfolio in local currency. 2016-17, we started transforming, and by now, over 96% of, around 97% of our portfolio is in local currency. And as I mentioned, this was period when we started 2016-2017, when Grameen came to us and funded us with the local currency funding. And what was also important, not so much the loan itself, but as I mentioned, when it was disbursed, and what is even more important, that it gave kind of hint, gave kind of good signal for other lenders to start also lending. This is also very important. When Grameen made the loan in 2016-2017 in the local currency, our other partners also came back to us, and we started having new partners who started to invest in local currency. That is very important to remember. In terms of solidarity, we also had the benefit of the receiving consultation technical assistance from the solidarity. It was on this slightly specific issue on cultural assessment methodology, but quite important. We had quite serious difficulties on the assessing ourselves the cultural methodology, specifically some specific, I would say, requirement from the regulators and from the investments, and we approached foundations who put us on the list of this technical assistance, which helped us actually not only to assess our existing system of the collateral, how we assess, but also to introduce at least two more new methodology, which at least for one we actually already started using, and then the second one which we are going to use hopefully very soon. We were very happy with the consultant, with the profile of the person, and with the recommendations consultation he provided, Olivier. And we already discussed with preliminary with Robin that we might apply for the new, if it will be available, we might apply for the new range. We actually do need new mission, specifically because we are aiming to start transformation from microcredit organization to micro deposit organizations. Because we are present in microcredit organization, we are not allowed to take deposit. And for us, it's a very big change and big challenge to become micro deposit organization. And we are hopefully, that's why this is one of the reasons why we came to Paris to meet with the shareholder to get the green light. And if everything will go well, we are going to start the process at the end of this year, which will take from 6 to 9 months, hopefully. And in this period, as you understand, transforming from microcredit organization purely to micro deposit organizations in our country, in our areas, big changes, and we will need some assistance on technical assistance on. It will become. We actually will need some assistance on a range of aspects, which I'm afraid not all can be provided by foundation, but at least one or two we will choose and we will apply hopefully to get the new mission, hopefully next year.
Perfect. It's
very
very good. We were discussing this morning with my team on the need to have new solidarity banker missions. So it's very good that you already have one in the pipeline, and clearly I hope we're going to be able to find the right person as we did in the past. Thanks.
profile. Any ready profile?
Well, I don't know if someone in the room is ready to join, but anyway, of course they will be more than welcome. Thanks a lot. We're going to move because time is moving on, and we go to Afghanistan. So I want to repeat that. I mean, we are not partner of OXUS in Afghanistan, but definitely we think it was very interesting to have the opportunity to have you also with us on board, Salim. And I would say that unfortunately, I think that everyone here in this room knows what is the capital of your country. But anyway, you got the floor.
Yeah, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. First, to introduce myself with your team, and then giving me the floor to discuss about Afghanistan. We all, I think, know about the capital, the situation, because it has been the hot topic, like particularly in the Western media. I can give you the background of the microfinance in the country. The microfinance basically started after the US invasion in the country in back 2002. So Khan Development Network was the first organization that started microfinance in the country. Later on, there were around 17 organizations. So particularly the big players like Brown and other organizations, they enter in the country. But the context of the country is completely different as compared to the neighboring countries, like I belong to Pakistan or Tajikistan or Iran or even Bangladesh. So the Bengali people, they thought this is a prominent Muslim country, so we will be successful in this country. So at one point of time, Prague was one of the largest microfinance provider in the country. So suddenly there were some security issues and some fraud issues arises in the country. So they had to close down their operations. There were around 17 MFIs. So in 2012, the MFIs, they have been went out the country, and it has been, the sector has been consolidated. It became few major players, they stayed in the country. For example, Khan Development Network, Finca, OXUS, and one local organization which has been supported by USAID. So if you can see OXUS map, this is the country map. So mainly this is for the future where we are planning to open our branches. You can see the doors there. But mainly all the MFIs, they were working in the northern region, also in central region and western region. So Afghanistan is kind of a country, different ethnic groups are living there. So predominantly it's almost 99.9% Muslim population in the country. Mainly they are Sunni Muslim. So around 20% of them are Shia minorities, we call Shia minorities. And they are living, and then different types of ethnic group. So we have Uzbek, we have Tajik, we have Hazara, and we have Pashtuns. So mainly the Hazara and Tajik population, they speak Dari, which is, we call Dari. This is a Persian, which is spoken in Iran and also in Tajikistan. In Uzbekistan, Samarkand and Bukhara, they also speak the same language. So we were operating, all the MFIs were operating in those areas because they were more educated, civilized people. And these were the borders of Tajikistan and also Uzbekistan and Iran. So the border with Pakistan on the western border and southern border, these are the Pashtun, predominantly Pashtun population, which were not secure. So that's why all the MFIs, they were operating in the north and then in the west and also in this central region. so in Kabul. So we were opposite of like, which my colleagues, they said they had around 20% like, urban clients. And we had like, at the beginning, more urban rural clients. Later on, like, after 2012, the security situation got worse and worse, like, in the outer skirts, like, areas. And we have to consolidate our portfolio in the big cities. First, like, we came to the district headquarters because there were the NATO forces, like, the Western forces and Afghan forces were there. And we were operating in the district headquarters. And then the security situation got even worse. So we had to consolidate to the provincial headquarters. For example, for us, the major hub was Kabul and also Mazar-e-Sharif and Herat. So there were a lot of sanctions on Iran, and then it has hit the western part and the Herat. So then we have to limit ourselves even in Herat, and then we were mainly in Kabul and also in Mazar-e-Sharif. So these were the two cities. So, and as far as OXUS concerned, OXUS was one of the largest microfinance provider in the country. Like Finca was the first one back in, like, in 2020. So in September 2020, 21, we crossed them. No, it was 20. So we crossed them by number of clients and also by amount of portfolio. And we also had one of the quality portfolio in the country. So unfortunately, August 15, so 2021, so we were in the office and Fernand visited us and we were sitting in the office and we were discussing 3 days before that. His wife texted him that, oh, like, the Taliban are coming closer. So I fear that I still remember the word. So that was a week before or 3 days before. So they were in Maidan-e-Wardak. Maidan-e-Shar is close to Kabul. So we thought that it will take maybe a year or 2 or 3 months minimum. And I was working in my office. My security manager, he just ran to my office. They said, like, Taliban captured Kabul. So it was a very unfortunate moment. So all my female employees, they were crying. So, and I was also afraid because, like, in Islam, particularly for Taliban, they were targeting the people, they were taking interest on loan, which is prohibited. It's called haram in Islam. I said, like, we are one of the targets. So even we had, like, one of the largest number of the female employees. All of them, they were modern, like you are sitting here before, like, this 15th of August. So they were in the office without hijab, without, like, and first of all, we organized a car for them. And then I went to Fernand. I said, like, the city is collapsed, huh? We are providing interest loan, and also you are the Swiss guy sitting here, and you have, like, modern females in the we meeting all the criteria against Taliban. So, and this was the situation. So we significantly suffered in the country, and I was also emotionally attached with the microfinance in that country. In 2002, I was the youngest professional of microfinance. So I have been nominated to start microfinance with one Swiss guy, one Tajik guy. We were the 3 people there, and I disbursed the first loan. And later on, I get the opportunity to restructure Finca there and with OXUS. For me, it was a disaster in my life. So, and we have decided to stay in the country. So still we have 7.8 million, like, portfolio, which we are collecting only the principal. They are not allowing us to collect the markup. And still, like, we have around 20,000 clients, and we have still significant number of the females working in my office. So I feel proud to stay in the country. So like people, they were selling their kids, their kidneys, and particularly for the females, there were absolutely no opportunity in the country. And we resisted, we stay in the country. And I encourage, like, we were the first organization in the country. Any organization, any NGO. We were the first one. After 3 days, I invited my female employees. I said, like, we have to set the trend because they are also human. So they will like, see the females are coming, they are working, there is no issue. So they came to the office, and Fernand, like, he had an opportunity to fly back to France because the plane was in the airport. And he said, no, I have to stay. So we stayed there, we are still resisting. And luckily, like, it took 1 year for us to get approval from the Taliban. So which was like, the Islamic loan. So we have submitted two proposals to them. One was the Murabaha agreement loan, which is you are purchasing basically goods and reselling to the client. And then Ijara, which is basically like, you are purchasing the goods and you are giving to the clients on rent. So they approved the Murabaha loan. So we resume our operations. So as of today, like, we dispersed to around 250 clients, and many of them are like, females. So if you can see the numbers in a country like Afghanistan, and we had the highest, like, number of like clients, and also we have the highest number of the female employees in the country. And I get the opportunity, like, you can be the ambassador of OXUS. Wherever you can go, people, they are just talking on the media, we are supporting, like, the females, the poor, the this and that. But we are practically resisting there. Huh? We had lot of issues from them. So they came to our office. So they were asking about the female employees, like, the clients. But we said, okay, we are the practical people. Huh? We are not making people beggar, like, giving them grants. So tomorrow they can throw out their cars, their like small businesses, they can be beggar, which is currently happening in the country. So there are two major issues I have highlighted to the UNDP, the UN, and also each forum I'm saying. One is that, like Edward was asking about Iraq, about Nizam, about Painda. I said, all the people you train, Edward, all of them, they're gone. One is sitting in United States, the other is in Holland, the other is in Pakistan. So the brain drain in the country. One is there. The second and most important thing is that, like, the dependency ratio, they are increasing. Giving, like, free money to the people. Some people, they have got, I still remember, people, like, they had a very good businesses. Like, although those who are very small card, they were going out, selling vegetable and earning some money. These international NGOs, they came, like, they are giving free money to them. They are selling out their cars. Tomorrow they will go. And what will happen? They can sell their kids, their kidneys again. And this is what it is going on in that country. That's why I'm thinking the role of OXUS is critical. We staying there, we resisted. We not just resisted that as we just kept the office open, but we resisted, like, with our principles. Because we said we are empowering the female. They are the biggest assets. And not only that, we are giving them a managerial role. Recently, like, we have recruited a female audit manager, a female, like, HR manager. That these are the two critical roles. Once they will hire, they have to be biased to recruit the females. And the females should feel like, secure, because the audit manager is, like, looking all the females inside the office. So that what practically we are doing there. So you can see the number. But this is what basically in the country we are, like, doing. Yes.
I think we terminate here for the presentation, so to leave some time for questions and answers.
We have some more slides that we're going to share it with you, but I think maybe it was better to take some time for questions, remark that you might have. Because we are expected to close in something like 7, we can take 10 more minutes for questions if you have, or remarks.
Just a question
Yeah.
about the part of women clients in Tajikistan, OXUS. It's quite low regarding in the other countries.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Actually, it's in general, we consider it, there's no, I would say, a specific issue in organization, but it is in general 40-45% for microfinance institutions. I mean, our aim actually to try to reach over 50% within coming 2-3 years. I mean, to some extent, unfortunately, it's depending on the slightly, I would say, lowering general education, in the educational level. Even within our employees, it is quite a serious issue after the collapse of Soviet Union. Education is going down. That's why actually we're trying to focus on the financial literacy as well. And to some extent, due to the fact of general education is going lower, as to some extent, we started to have some issue with the right of women after the collapse of Soviet Union. But I mean, you're right, to some extent it's lower, but our aim to reach at least 50% within coming 2 years of our clients as a woman.
Yes, Edouard?
Yes, I have a question especially for Denis, for Kyrgyzstan, because we were looking at inflation projections in our portfolio, and Kyrgyzstan is one of the countries where we see that the IMF is projecting quite high inflation for this year and maybe for the following years. So I was wondering how you plan to face this inflation on the field. Do you think that it will create issues? Do you think that you will have to increase rates to the final clients? I think that's a very interesting question, because inflation is also touching us in France. It's touching many countries, but there are a few countries where it will be more intense, including Kyrgyzstan.
Well, serious question. First of all, we expect the inflation of, I think the government projected 15% or something, but it's only for the basket of the basic goods, food stuff. In practical terms, we all feel now the increase in prices for all type of goods, except the seasonal fruits and vegetables. The price went down currently. And for the next year, we expect as well also double-digit inflation. And to the following, why we actually lend to entrepreneurs, because they are quite adaptive to the changes in economy, and they increase the rates, increase the prices for the goods, so then they can cope with the interest rates which we charge. The most difficult issue will be with operational costs inside OXUS. This the wages of staff, of people, because we have to adapt, we have to increase wages for positions which are very viable. And we will not cut people because it's against the social policy of the company. So we'll see how we can increase salaries, maybe to more responsibilities, but already in connection to Russian-Ukrainian war, in connection to this, say this called partial mobilization of the men in Russia. So we experience now huge issues with the rent of apartments in Bishkek, Osh, and the third city Chalabat rocket now. So the prices not doubled, but 50% up for apartments. So previously, if people paid $300 for an apartment, now they pay 400, 450 per month.
Why? Because the Russian people are coming to.
Yeah, currently we have around 80,000 Russians sitting in Kyrgyzstan, in Bishkek, with 1 million. I mean, not all in Bishkek, but with 1 million population. If we receive 50,000 people, so we don't have this real estate fund to satisfy the needs. So, and then the landlords, they push our local people out of the apartments to sell them, not to sell, to give for rent for bigger prices. And we also introduced the company currently from October, a special top up to the salaries for 6 months to kind of survive this huge increase in the rents. Plus, we also added a top up because of Bishkek became very expensive, unbelievable expensive. Yeah, it was not cheap in comparison to Kyrgyzstan. It was not cheap before, but now it's very expensive because of the some issues with the. So, for example, as a company, we could not buy servers because normally they came from Russia, and then we needed to find a way to take them from Dubai or from Eastern Europe, the servers for MIS. So then we had some difficulties with the food stuff, with some goods that were produced in Russia by international companies. And they closed the factories, the plants. So now we try to receive from Kazakhstan or from China or from whatever countries we can get. So also we had a lot of goods from Ukraine itself. Yeah? So and now we don't have them because the borders are closed and there is no production enough to export to for example. So this touched us as well quite seriously. The other point of this, if we go to this Russian-Ukrainian war, the other, let's say the backside of the coin is a bit different. So we have, because of the strange appreciation of Russian ruble, the relation of ruble to KGS is so good now that we have a huge flow of remittances from Russia. Huge flow, because the times when we had for one Russian ruble, we had 1.1 Kyrgyz som, and now we have 1.35 Kyrgyz som. So then they're eager to send the money to families from Russia. So and then it helped a lot. And now the economy, so we said about 3.6 last year, and around more than 6% for the 6 months. It's also kind of working to supply to Russia some goods, and this parallel import, I don't know how you call it, but it's kind of plus remittances, plus Kumtor gold operating company was taken nationalized actually, and all of this contributed to the GDP growth in the 6 months quite well. But this is kind of let's say the law of the saving energy. So somewhere it's bad, somewhere it should be better. So that's why no, we are not so. I mean, the perspective is not so brilliant as we think, but still we will be okay. I mean, in this relations to this Ukrainian-Russian war, it will be okay. But in the company side, yeah, we now increasing some. And in July we already went one increase of the salaries because we understood that people are leaving because of the salaries. And also we have a threat from the Russia in terms of the labor force. People go to Russia to work unqualified jobs like a courier job, like nurses and so on and so on. They go there because being qualified in Kyrgyzstan and earning so less to not be able to cover the living costs, it's nonsense. So that's why we need to adapt to this, to the salaries of Russia. We cannot compete with the salaries in Russia, but still we need to adapt to this.
Yeah, just to add on the inflation, actually in Tajikistan also, we're expecting quite high inflations following the start of the war in Ukraine. I'm sure, Eduard, you remember this very well. We have so-called package of anti-crisis measures, which we actually implemented back in 2008, 2009, in crisis of 2016, 2015, 2016. So usually when we expect inflation or depreciation of the local currency, we do use this range of so-called anti-crisis measures, which are more or less the same like folks Kyrgyzstan, folks Tajikistan, with some adaptations, which relate to the strength of methodology, relate to the collateral, restricting of the disbursement analysis process and so on. There are a range of so-called anti-crisis measures. And in addition to that, following the start of war, as we were expecting, that will be big impact on the Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan due to the situation in Ukraine, situation in Russia, or as it was in the past. We are usually planning, we're making different budget planning, low case, high case, optimistic and low case. And then these kind of so-called anti-crisis measures are linked to the different scenario of the budget. But doing all of this and implementing so-called anti-crisis measures back in March, April, following the start of the war, something by June, July, we realized that actually the economic impact on the area in the country, especially in Tajikistan, is not that negative as we were expecting. That's why something starting from July, we actually, beginning of end of July, we already lifted most of anti-crisis measures, which we start implementing in March, expecting that there will be a depreciation of currency and that there will be inflation.
We also started this anti-crisis measure because of the fluctuation of the foreign currency. Yeah, we closed this. We are quite developed in the sewing industry, the light textile industry and so. And then we understood that our clients could not buy the sewing machines because the price went up and down. So then we stopped the lending. It was March, and then April we started again. Because then we understood the huge orders from Russia came to substitute whatever H&M and so on and so on. And then a huge flow of the goods were actually produced in Kyrgyzstan and sent. And then we have a special project with one company. I know we sold already together with them more than 1,000 sewing machines to women just to produce this textile. Okay, it goes to Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Russia. But still, it's and then as you said, we stopped this anti-crisis in this special industry.
Okay, thank you. I think it's time to close. If there's any one last question. No. So I really wanted to thank you a lot because I think it's always so much better to hear from people from the ground. I mean, what they are doing and what they are experiencing, especially in this troubled time. I mean, the very nice testimony from you, really, what's happening also regarding Ukraine war, and also of course with what is happening in unfortunately I would say in Afghanistan. But I think that I think it's a very nice testimony to see. I mean, that you decided to remain there, that you decided to proceed with women in this very particular context, and I think that we are all very much impressed. So thanks all of you for attending this conference. It has been recorded. We're going to share with you the PowerPoint presentation. There were still a few slides that were not introduced, but we wanted to still share with you the different messages they had with us. Thanks a lot, and wishing you a nice lunch time. It's quite late already.
Yes, and thank you very much for your attention, interest, and